World of Warcraft remains the top dog in the West when it comes to MMORPGs, even after all these years. It's forever putting work and focus on the game, which is great. Blizzard wants to improve their product and keep it fun. But I feel that the role-playing part of the RPG aspect largely goes ignored by Blizzard. New dungeons and raids are added with every expansion, and PvP has grown up so much since its original incarnation in vanilla, when the poor thing didn't even have battlegrounds. And Blizzard has added plenty of activities for you to do between your battleground queues and your raid nights, such as world quests, archaeology and pet battles, yet I feel role-playing has largely been left in obscurity. Role-players can be a minority, even on their own realms, which may justify the lack of attention it receives, at least in the eyes of Blizzard. Roleplay communities are entirely player-driven, player-moderated, and make use of whatever gameplay content can offer in order to run, regardless of whether that set of armor or that empty castle in Redridge was intended for them or not. And yet, however small roleplay communities can be, even on their own realms, they've been asking for acknowledgement by Blizzard for years in order to promote and improve this fun, and in my opinion creative hobby. The idea of a roleplay patch has been tossed around for as long as I can remember, and has gained something of a mythical status ever since. So here is my small list of what I think Blizzard can implement that specifically targets roleplayers. Number 1. More cosmetic items. Starting out with simple things, who wouldn't love more cosmetic items? More specifically, items made for the sole purpose of looking appealing, with no real stats or impact on gameplay. Looking good can be one of the major motivators to roleplay, and roleplayers love to make clever and great use of already existing items, such as people outfitting their characters to look like almost any class, playable or otherwise, and even give the illusion of playing non-playable races, such as demons or forest trolls. Armor is customized based on the player's roleplay preferences rather than stats, and casual outfits are popularly made for those campfire nights and tavern meetups that represent the more social aspects of roleplay. Are these your driving goggles? Your diving gear? You can create an awful lot of looks with the items provided in-game, but I want more. Even though roleplayers were never too limited by armor type, and seeing a warrior wearing bits of cloth or leather for instance has always been quite common, transmogrification was a bloody fantastic addition to the game, as you can now look and feel more in character even as you quest or do dungeons or PvP. And the later ability to collect appearances unlocked all manner of creativity, as items were no longer locked to a single one of your characters, but became account-wide. When it comes to the possibilities which lie in adding items solely meant to look appealing, the sky is the limit. Glasses, coats, masks, scarves, cigars, pipes, rings, visible trinkets and trophies, hair accessories, a return of quivers, beyond that only one that exists and requires me to keep an artifact untransmogrified, which gives me this annoying glowy line between my tits when I'm just trying to roleplay. And grimoires, verdant spheres. Kael'thas had those, and he was cool. In fact, my warlocks had them, and floaty soul shards, until those mysteriously disappeared along with all the other cool warlock cosmetic magic effects. Remember Dark Apathesis? Because I do, and I'm still bitter about it. While it is true we've had a slight increase in seeing cosmetic items added to the game, some good examples being the Gilnean nobleman and noblewoman outfits from the Darkmoon Fair, as well as the Stormwind Guard and Orgrimmar Grunt armor sets from Warlords of Draenor. But such additions are still pretty rare, and I would love it, for example, if we could get the rest of the Racial Guard armors. Number 2. More character customization. Continuing the theme of customizing every little bit of your character to make yourself feel good, right now we're limited to only one body type for each race and gender. While more body types would definitely be a challenge, seeing as we waited for years to even get the player models updated, it's a nice dream that one day we'd be able to play as a straight-backed orc like Thrall, or a fat old human wizard like this bloke from the beta, or even a troll with the body of Conan the Barbarian. While new body types may be out of our reach, facial customization should not be. With the new player models that came with Warlords of Draenor, there are so many details put into the faces of each individual race that the potential is waiting to be tapped. So how about things like switching my character's facial expression to fit their mood? Maybe I'm feeling grumpy, pleased, honoured, flirtatious. Other options could include things like eye colour, nose shape or scars. And speaking of scars, skin texture is something that would not require remodelling or entire new bone structures like body types would. This is where we could get things like body scars, tattoos, or body hair. Even the hyped up idea of playable sub-races counts to a degree. But back to hair. More hairstyles are always welcome. Simply being able to access every single hairstyle currently in the game, regardless of which race you're playing, could be a great start. Sure, some people are gonna look like a complete pillock, but I know people, especially roleplayers, and there is someone out there that would make their character look bloody fantastic. Also, bald should be an option for every race and gender, because what the heck is stopping my character from shaving their head? Also, while we're at it, it'd be fantastic if Blizzard would allow us to toggle hair visibility on or off while wearing helmets. Sure, helmets would look like a horrid clippy mess, which is why you can turn it off, or it would be off by default. I think the choice would be better than the current reality, where my character might don their wizard hat and cloak and suddenly lose their fabulous silky locks. Number 3. An inbuilt total roleplay-like feature. Add-ons have been a huge part of the roleplay experience, going as far back as vanilla. Where we once had add-ons such as Flag RSP, the concept has been improved and iterated upon over the years, and several roleplay add-ons proved to be the most popular choice for roleplayers nowadays: Total Roleplay, My Roleplay, and XRP. The idea of such add-ons is to provide a character sheet where you write down information about your character, such as their full name, titles, a description of their appearance and current status. Additional flavour can include things like a backstory page, your character alignment, relationship status with other characters, and even character theme music. While these add-ons are completely optional, and you do not need them in order to roleplay, it's easy to forget that they serve another, less advertised purpose, that being the ability to identify other roleplayers. Simply seeing someone else with the add-on tells you that they roleplay, even telling you at a glance whether they're in character or out of character, which enables you to approach them without worrying about creating an awkward scene with a non-roleplayer, or someone who's just trying to level their professions in peace. All in all, it's something that add-ons already do a great job at, but it's one of those things that could be cool if the game just provided it by default. What such a feature may achieve, simply by its inclusion, is the promotion of roleplay as a feature that happens in the game. It might inspire people to simply try it out, and would easily be accessible for people who aren't aware that roleplay add-ons even exist. Number 4. Dungeon Master Tools. Dungeon Masters, Game Masters, Narrators, Storytellers, Event Organisers. They go by many names. I can't speak for every roleplay community out there, but events led by a Dungeon Master weren't a popular thing on my realm until about Wrath of the Lich King, when the idea was expanded upon and popularised. But regardless of what styles of roleplay events were done in the past, the truth is that Dungeon Masters are a very common part of roleplay communities nowadays. Their job is similar to a Dungeon Master's would be in a game of Dungeons and Dragons. You create a scenario, a story, NPCs, monsters, bosses and puzzles. Dungeon Masters have had to be very experimental with what's available in-game in order to create a fun and engaging event. Add-ons can provide the ability to create NPC speech, and raid markers are the usual go-to to tell you that, yeah, there's an enemy standing there. And some more creative special effects can include things like fireworks, toys, and the reflecting prism. But it is all very limited, hence why I want more. In my opinion, one of the major advantages to role-playing in a video game like World of Warcraft is that unlike traditional pen and paper RPGs or role-playing on a forum, the game engine provides you with a real world, with graphics, sounds, and free player input of anything from your movements to your abilities. There is less reliance on using your imagination when it comes to creating the scene, but the game engine only goes so far. And if I want to have my party do battle with a Legion Fellreaver in the dry and desolate wastes of Hellfire Peninsula, I shall have to plop down a raid marker and explain the situation to them. Otherwise, my encounter will be over in a matter of seconds, as we all roll up to a Fellreaver and one-shot him with melee attacks. What Blizzard could give us is the tools to design our own roleplay adventures. Things like the ability to create our own locations, actual visible, personally customized NPCs, control over said NPCs, the ability to create a storyline and quests that unfold before the adventurers through gameplay rather than raid markers and raid warnings. The ability to design your own encounters with enemies to lead to more visually pleasing combat events. It would all be done in an instance area, not the open world, so as not to affect the integrity of the actual gameplay and quest stories. And no substantial reward would come out of it the likes of gold or items. It should all be there just for the sake of fun and immersive roleplay. Number 5. Player housing. This may be an unpopular opinion among some, but I loved the Draenor garrisons. At least, I loved the original theory of them, that I would get my own little area that I could customise with buildings based on my race and set it down in any number of zones on the continent. However, I feel Blizzard tried to tie the garrisons far too tightly to the gameplay experience of Draenor. Player housing is something that an awful lot of MMORPGs have done in the past, and with the existence of things such as transmogrification, it would be a similarly purely cosmetic feature. A place you can call home, a place you could customise to your aesthetic pleasing. Your character lives somewhere in the world they keep saving after all. They like to have a place in the Mage District of Stormwind, the Valley of Honor, or they chill out on a farm in Pandaria. Whatever it is, they might just have somewhere they can hang up their trophies and return to after a long day of adventuring, kick off their boots, and invite their mates around for a game of Hearthstone. It would be a great helper to immersion if one of those numerous houses in the big cities had an instance portal or the like, allowing you to enter them as you would a small garrison. Many roleplayers, and dare I say even non-roleplayers, would love such a feature like that. On top of it all, other than helping immersion and being a fun gameplay activity to customise your own home, it would help solve a problem that many roleplayers have undoubtedly faced over the years, and that's arguing over just who lives in that one empty house in that one town that everyone wants to use as their own in the absence of any other eligible buildings. Number 6. Cross-faction communication. The language barrier does not help roleplay at all. I have witnessed numerous forum posts asking for Blizzard to remove it so that people can roleplay from across both factions, and there has been sound arguments in favour of removing the language barrier. Other than the lore factors, such as Common being regarded as an actual common language in Azeroth, and the Forsaken Gutterspeak being an actual form of Common, PvP is the biggest spanner that gets thrown in the works. The Horde is not supposed to be friends with the Alliance, and the most common argument I see against cross-faction communication is that people would use it for abuse in PvP. However, some Sandat can already jump up and down on top of my corpse while spamming /spit. I think I would rather he simply called me a noob instead. And with that said, you're already unable to communicate with the other same faction members in arenas or rated battlegrounds when they act as the enemy team. So within instance PvP, nothing needs to change. You can still have people making strange gestures or shouting at their teammates rather than witnessing their bumbling insults. Furthermore, currently the only way to set up a roleplay event between the two factions is to either set up some awkward chat window, be that through Battle.net or Skype, or base the event entirely on actual PvP, where the two sides slaughter each other mindlessly. If we were actually able to communicate effortlessly, then the quality of events would surely improve, and Sergeant Grek of the Bloody-Fisted Warband could simply call the Alliance pigdogs cowardly gnome lickers before charging into their blades, rather than having to resort to Alt-Tab into some other window in order to translate it and wait for a reply. Number 7. A lore codex or bestiary. There are already numerous books, comics, websites, and even YouTube channels that are dedicated to teaching you the lore of Warcraft, so I can see why Blizzard wouldn't bother dedicating the time and effort of putting that inside the game. However, in my experience, roleplayers, while dependent on major lore plot points, crave trivia as much as anything, and that is what this feature could introduce. The small details matter a lot when you're trying to reenact what is supposedly the everyday life of a citizen of Azeroth, and roleplayers really love to read between the lines and scrutinise everything in order to help enrich this experience, and understandably so. Archaeology has given us some such detail, and the novels and quests sometimes drop a hint or a fact that tends to get popularised to a lore-like status. But it's never enough, and there is always room for more and more trivia. Things like racial tidbits and facts, lifespans, diets, average heights and weights. The RPG books, which are now declared as non-canon, are a good source of ideas, as they come close to what's needed, but it is all a matter of strong interpretation based on what feels realistic for the canon, and what isn't. Number 8. More passenger mounts. Passenger mounts started out as an expensive luxury, and have largely remained so. But they also serve a more practical purpose, such as your go-to repair mount, or your transmog on the go yak, or your sandstone drake to carry your low-level mate around the midsummer bonfires, because he's too bloody lazy to do it himself, Kevin. However, the roleplay potential in such mounts is incredible. Take a look at the Loveboat toy from the latest Lovers in the Air holiday. It is a working, fully operational boat that can carry a second player. Obviously the technology exists, and as wonderful as it would be to watch Sergeant Grek of the Bloody Fisted Warband perform a beach landing under heavy Alliance cannon fire on the deck of his trusty love boat, I suppose it would also be just as good to watch him do it on a normal boat. When it comes to flying, it might be fun to gently drift through the clouds of Kalimdor with your most trusted companions by your side in the comfort of a Pandaren balloon. But where I see some of the most wonderful potential is a caravan, such as the Etin or the Kodo-pulled carts from Silverpine and Ashenvale, or Fiona's caravan from the Plaguelands. A horse and carriage like this, I can see entire communities and guilds being born, based solely around a carriage, slowly travelling the world, picking up new friends, saying goodbye to them as they move on, and dealing with the general adventures that come with living your life on the roads of Azeroth. Number 9. Better moderation on roleplay servers. Once again, something that people have been asking for many years now. Dedicated roleplay servers exist, and did you know that they have their own set of rules you're supposed to follow? They've been available for you to look at for years. In the cupboard, in our basement, in the Hong Kong office. But unless something gets reported over and over and over again, Blizzard is unlikely to do much about it. Things like griefing roleplayers and using lore or immersion-breaking names for their characters or guilds. While it is doubtful that roleplay will ever be moderated 100% by Blizzard directly, there are ways to work it out and help improve the quality of these realms. For example, why not display a list of the rules when creating a character on a roleplay realm for the first time, just to inform people and make sure that they are aware what the server is about and proceed in accordance with that. Griefers are a huge annoyance on roleplay servers, and simply putting them on your ignore list doesn't deal with the fact that the sad tit is still jumping around on his yak, going through every single toy in his list, and doing their best to break your immersion. Actual attention given to reports of such nature would help reduce the number of bumble-headed buffoons causing such problems. Or even just adding an extra button when you right-click on the name to report them for griefing roleplay might set my mind at ease. Number 10. Roleplay community tools. Promoting roleplay can be a difficult thing to do. It's a huge issue if people can't easily find roleplay, especially on smaller servers. On the several servers that I've played on, and even on the official forums, there have always been people actively asking how to find roleplay and which guilds are a good pick for them in order to join. And in many cases, these people are complete newcomers to roleplay and actually require some guidance. That is why the first impression they get from the forums or from asking other players in-game is crucial, but unfortunately not always reliable, provided they actually get a response to begin with. There are player-made roleplay chat channels which bring people together and can establish a sense of community, cause a spammy mess, or simply be a dusty wasteland depending on how busy they are. And the forums are a bit hit and miss when it comes to promoting guilds, events, and active roleplay hubs. It can work on bigger servers, but in my experience from a smaller realm, there is certainly a large amount of people who don't visit the forums and have no way of finding out about all the chat channels, especially if they have some obscure name that's difficult to find out. That's why an inbuilt tool that helps promote the roleplay community better would be extremely valuable. It could be tied to the calendar, or maybe even the looking for group tool, and help promote roleplay by connecting people, letting them know which chat channels exist, informing them about active roleplay locations and ongoing campaigns, and even notice boards with recruiting guilds. Perhaps even the ability to mark yourself as looking for roleplay, combined with a total roleplay radar-like function to better find eligible encounters. This way, newcomers will be able to enter the community without having to be shy or not knowing who to ask, or to wonder in what forum to post their questions, or which guilds roleplay and which ones do not. That's it for now of my list of things I think Blizzard could do to help improve the quality of life and general roleplay of this community. If you violently disagree or agree with any of my points, or think there's something else that Blizzard could do, please feel free to discuss it in the comments. I shall close off with a small but relevant rant about toys in-game. There was a time when I was excited to get a new toy. It's like getting a new mount or a pet. But it's reached a point where I'm more often than not just disappointed by the lack of versatility of this toy, what seems to be designed only as a little distraction for raiders while waiting for the break to end. This is personally one of my most egregious examples of a toy that could be so much fun for roleplay, and yet let down by needlessly long cooldowns. If I want to roleplay a Pandaren Brewmaster, all of my inspirations, what do they share? They've got a big old keg of ale on their back. Is this a toy that I can get? Yes. What does it do? It gives me a lovely big Pandaren beer barrel on my back. Fantastic. How long does it last? 5 minutes. With a 1 hour cooldown. It's 5 minutes with a 1 hour cooldown. But why though? Why does it do that? It shouldn't do that. It's for fun. Fun would be letting me look like a buggering brewmaster. I will give Blizzard some credit and commend the implementation of the High Mountain totems from High Mountain. Thanks for watching.